please, for the love of God, one thing that you have to remember, right, is your feelings is valid. Your feelings is okay. Because we all feel multiple things through multiple situations. But sometimes we also have to remember too that our feelings aren't always facts. It's a reason why emotion and logic, there's like a big line between it, right? But I feel like in this day and age, we have to be able to try to either combine the two or make sure it's safe to say, separate the two. Like, okay, I understand that I'm offended because of this, but at the same time, I might not have to be because my morals, my principles, my values, it is a certain way. But one thing that we all have to understand, right, is that if you are purposely, verbally taking a knife and cutting somebody, they're going to be offended. They're going to be pissed off. They're going to feel like you're attacking them. And the reason why I say that is because if all of us collectively across the board, which would then make it objective, right, is to be like, yo, if that was said to me, I'll be pissed off. Or even better yet, if you was to put the lens on you and then understand like, yo, if this person said this to me, I would be pissed off, then why would you feel that it's okay for you to say it to the other person and for them to not be pissed off and for them to gloss over the shit? I don't get it. I definitely don't. And I'm pretty sure that you don't either. So why do it? I would like for people to think to themselves, right? Have you ever made somebody understand exactly where you're coming from when you start saying accusatory language? Have you? I know I haven't. So usually when I'm trying to explain things to people, right, I basically say like, yo, I feel this way because, and then I'll say the actual thing that happened. I try my best to not sit here and say like, you don't love me, you don't care. At the same time, I can be like, okay, I feel hurt because you called me this. I feel hurt because you did that. I feel hurt because you contacted my ex and you were speaking to my ex about me and now I feel some kind of way. I feel hurt because you was chilling with these people and you was actually saying some stuff like, yo, imagine if I just robbed that nigga, if I just robbed that dude, I just took him from everything he got. So when I say like, I feel hurt because you said particular things, that's not necessarily me being accusatory. I'm telling you the fact of the matter. Like, yo, you hurt my feelings because you did this. Now, if I'm like, let's say for an example, I throw a birthday party, right? And I invite mad individuals. Some individuals don't come. I can't go up to that person and be like, yo, you hurt my feelings because you didn't care. Nah, that's accusatory. Because who's to say that that person didn't care? Who's to say that that person wasn't busy? Who's to say that person didn't have prior engagements? Who's to say that that person wasn't going through their own mental health struggles, dealing with anxiety, depression, and all that stuff, and they didn't want to be around people? So that would be wrong for me to say. So that's why I usually try to keep it down to like yo, my feelings was hurt because I was loving to get support from you and I didn't get it. You know, I'm not saying that you did something, or I'm not trying to implement feelings into your head saying that you don't care, you don't love me, you don't support me, you don't do things for me. No. Because that right there can make the other person's defense mechanism spike up and then they're going to be like, hey, yo, that's not even the case, dog. Like, why don't you just ask me what's in my head? That's why I like to ask people what's in their head. But honestly, when it comes to me, when I'm explaining my case to a particular person, like, yo, you hurt my feelings because you started saying that you didn't give a fuck. You started saying that it's a wrap. You started telling me that you want to cut me off. And then if I'm like, all right, so my feelings is hurt because you said, and then I start repeating these things back. That's not accusatory. It's not the same thing. It's not tit for tat. It's not none of that shit. And I also don't understand why people be on social media taking these things that they don't understand, these saying, these phrases, these quotes. You're doing tit for tat. Tit for tat is doing things out of revenge, to be petty. So let's say, for an example, I can't make it somewhere, right? I'm not able to. I suffer from vertigo. That's dizziness. I can't drive. I can't even comfortably sit in the car and just chill and relax and just get to the destination, because usually I'm gonna feel worse when I'm there. And then on the way back, I'm gonna get worse. And then that's gonna make it more amplified to the point that if I wanna do things the next day, if I had other plans that's later on in the week, it'll be harder for me to do because recovery time is extremely slow. Now, understanding this valid excuse, right? Now, if you was to then be like, I'm going to feel this way towards Alex because I feel hurt that he wasn't able to come through, that's you being tit for tat, because you're now thinking like, I'm gonna do this to Alex because I felt that he did this to me. Feelings is valid, get it. But at the same time, once you're like, I feel he did this, I feel that he didn't show up, so now I am going to do ABC, that right there is tit for tat, because you're doing it out of pettiness. Now, a lot of people do have to understand the whole notion, right? That there are individuals who might feel resentment. And then because of said resentment, that's when they might start moving a certain way. So their logical excuse or reasons to why they're doing it is because, yo, I felt like you wasn't showing me enough love, so that's the reason why I started pulling back. Is that tit for tat? No. But that's also not out of being petty or out of revenge. That's somebody protecting their own self, especially emotionally. If you don't have no water in your cup, you can't keep pouring it out to people that's not pouring it back in yours. Fine, I get that. But if somebody is like, yo, I don't know. I really don't even know how to break down the explanations even deeper. And sometimes I be wondering, why do I have to break it down any deeper? You know, like the definition of tit for tat, you know, it's like, here it is. You gotta love Google for this because this is where you can get the definition of things, right? Tit for tat means a retaliatory act or an equivalent given return. It returns the exchange of matching actions where one person responds to another person's action, usually insult, injury, or petty slight, with a similar or exact same action in return, creating a back and forth cycle of matching behavior. So if I'm telling you that you did foul shit and then I'm slowly backing off or my energy is not the same, it's not tit for tat, my nigga, or whoever. It is far from that. Now, that's like similar saying, like, I would consider tit for tat even, you smack me in my face and I smack you back. That's tit for tat, because I'm returning that shit. Or my other definition of tit for tat is, if you say fuck you, and then I'm like, yo, fuck you too, that's tit for tat. Am I lying? Nah, I'm speaking the fucking truth right now. But you can't call tit for tat if you used to be like, yo, fuck you, and I'm like, all right, damn, like, where the fuck that shit come from? I'm gonna be over here. I'm gonna give you space. I'm not gonna talk to you anymore. It's not fucking tit for tat. Where is people's minds at when it comes to these things? Words is important. And I always feel because I'm even the type of person, like, I try my best not to generalize, but then there's certain times that I have to emphasize when it comes to certain things being said. So I always feel that when I want somebody to understand exactly where I'm coming from, I'm going to try to speak in words semantically. I'm going to try to use a definition as it was intended. I'm going to try to state these things as if when you open Webster's dictionary, unless if I made a mistake on the definition, you'll see the definition right there. And even then I'm open for correction, because there've been mad times where I'd be like, okay, I misused the word because for the last 20 or 30 years, this is what I thought it meant. And I just never refreshened my memory when it comes to these definitions of things. We're humans, we make mistakes, right? But I won't say this word means something to me and then die on that hill even when I'm corrected. No, if you correct me, great. But if I try to correct you, then it shouldn't even be an issue going back and forth because it's not even up for debate. The definition's right there. So what I'm doing is not tit for tat. I have a right to feel the way that I'm feeling, and then I'm doing my best to express it. And even when I express it to a grown woman or a grown man, I'm still like, hey, yo, dog, I want to be able to tell you about how I feel about this because I felt like what you did wasn't right. And then I start coming forth. Don't get me wrong, I'm not this perfect person, and I always say I'm not perfect. But there's certain times where the way I'm expressing things might be wrong. I might have a little bit of aggression in my voice, but it's more often than not that I actually approach a certain situation and I'm actually calm and cool about it. I won't say that I'm always collective, but at the same time, I do my best to be like, hey, yo, look, listen, you said this and it messed me up. Or if somebody's in the middle of, they have a grievance towards me, like let's say, for example, say invited me to a party that they're throwing, right? And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do my best to make it, dog, but just to let you know ahead of time, I haven't been feeling that well. My vertigo been fucking with me. So I'm gonna let you know what's good. And then the day of, I'm like, hey, yo, bro, hey, yo, sis, whoever the case may be, my bad, I won't be able to make it because I'm feeling mad messed up. Sometimes I over-explain. Yo, I've been throwing up, I've been this and that and the third and whatnot. And sometimes they'll have an attitude. Yo, dog, that sucks, man. Yo, you don't even care. I thought you had mad love for me. Like, you don't love me. You don't show me support. You don't do this. You don't do that. And I'm like, nigga, that right there is, to me, is tit for tat. Because I can't do something. Now you're using accusatory language to try to make me feel bad because you want me to feel some kind of level of hurt because you feel hurt. It's not no, all right, yeah, that sucks, man. Like, you know, I see you on the flip side. Or it's not even on some old like, oh, dang, man, like I really wish you was able to show me support, you know, and I was really looking forward for you to be in here, you know? Like, come on, man. Like, joint's crazy how people try to justify themselves when it comes to that joint, you know? And I'm open for error. Just let me know if I did something wrong. Me not being able to show certain support on a certain day, I can understand that. But at the same time, let's say, not on the flip side, but if I'm letting somebody know, like, yo, you said and did some things that's fucking with my mental, so I'm actually going to be over here licking my wounds, so to speak, to try to heal myself, to try to forgive you, to try to make it so I don't have resentment to the point that I now want to cut you off. I'm going to be here because the things that you said was messed up. So I'm chilling over here. Interesting shadow vlog. You could tell I just recently been through something. But at the same time, it's like I really do try to hold people up to a certain pedestal. And when I'm disappointed with that because it's being lowered because of certain things that they're saying, especially when it's accusatory, then it makes me feel some kind of way 100%. Because I think it's on a realm of, I'm thinking to myself, right? And I'm like, yo, I love following the golden rule. And sometimes with that golden rule, I'm like, yo, I'll never speak to a person in a way that I would not want to be spoken to. So I keep that in mind at all times. And once again, I'm not perfect. I do have the ability to say things that sting, but it's usually after it's been repeatedly at me over and over and over again. And that can be family dynamics, relationship dynamics, friendship dynamics, quote unquote best friend dynamics. 'Cause I don't even know what that is anymore at this point in time, and that's no shot towards anybody, but people don't speak. So I feel this way. So it's like, let me not speak to these individuals this way because I don't want to be spoken to that way. So I'll never cuss you out randomly. I'll never threaten to remove myself. I'll never dehumanize what you're going through. I'll be like, you know what? All right, fine. And I try my best to understand where people's is coming from. But that has its limits because I can't understand where somebody's coming from if they're telling me, yo, I feel this way. I feel depressed, but yo, you're a fucking bitch and you're not much of a man and this and that and the third. It's like, nah. At that point, it's fuck what you're going through and it's fuck what you're feeling. Because if you're at the same token telling me how you feel or trying to make me feel like shit, then I don't care. It doesn't matter who you are across the board. I can know you all my life. I can have a deep personal connection with you. The moment where your intent is to hurt me, and that is the key word, it is intent. Once your intent is to hurt me, then you might as well just think to yourself like, this dude ain't gonna give a fuck about what I say. Now I'm just straight up trying to hurt his feelings. So it is what it is and I'm gonna get these shots off. But just understand, if you're making long-term decisions off of temporary emotions, that's going to come back and bite you in the ass because in a few days, in a week or a month, then you're going to be sitting here thinking like, I should be good. Nah, Al is still thinking, fuck you. Al's still not going to care where you're coming from. Al's going to be thinking that your grievances now have zero credit. Your credit score is down with me now. So while your credit with me is 850, I hear everything in the world that you have to say. If you start saying insulting stuff, you're taking withdrawals out. And then it's going to get to a point that you're going to start overdrafting. Once you start overdrafting, I don't care. And sometimes that can be a hefty amount because you can say, fuck you, or you can insult me. You can call me out my name. You can start telling me that I'm doing things that I haven't even done to you because you feel some kind of way. Then, yeah, I'm sorry, you overdrafted. Now you owe. And then it's like the longer it takes, the more you're going to be charged that surfee. Or I shouldn't even say surfee, I'll say surcharge. But some people call it surfee. So I try to, But at the end of the day, treat others the way that you want to be treated. And if you're going to use certain catchphrases, at least look up the definition, have a better understanding with it. That's my thing. Not everything is tit for tat. Some people do things because it's best for them to do to protect themselves. And sometimes people need protection from you because every single person that harms, abuses people, or give trauma to other people, they'll be the first ones to say that they don't. Me, I can say the same thing, but we can also align receipts and see exactly where it's coming from because I won't call somebody out their name. I won't dehumanize their feelings. The most I do is defend mine. And I'm the type of person that I don't overspeak or speak in absolutes and all this other stuff. I don't like to say everybody, always, nobody never helps me. Nobody's never there for me because that'd be a lie. So once you start letting your emotions speak in absolutes and over exaggerations, then sometimes you might have to look back at yourself and be like, okay, so maybe I could be the problem because I minimize the efforts that so many people done show me.